Hey adventurers, today is going to be another book review. This is for Gawain by J.P. Harker. This is an Arthurian tale. It's a retelling of the Sir Gawain and the Green Knight. It's also very much a fantasy story and a fairy tale fantasy. Lots of different subgenres as always. So I was sent this book by the author last year I think, and it took me way too long to get to it. Part of that was because about the time that I wanted to start reading it, I took an Arthurian Lit class, and so I put it off until I had read some more Arthurian Lit, and then I didn't get back around to it until recently. It's been a couple months now since I read it. But I'm finally getting to my review of this book, and let's get right into it. There's lots of wonderful things in this retelling of Sir Gawain and the Green Knight. It's very different in many ways from the original, but those differences enhance the story being told. It's very much the first book in what will be an epic retelling of the King Arthur legend, but that only makes me excited to read more. So this is the story of Gawain, young Gawain, before he becomes basically one of King Arthur's greatest knights, and it's really cool. I love Arthurian retelling, or I love Arthurian stories. Sir Gawain and the Green Knight I have read three times now, I think. Once several years ago. I don't know if I finished it that first time completely, but I don't remember exactly for sure. But anyways, last year I read Sir Gawain and the Green Knight, and then I read it again for my Arthurian Lit class, and I really love this story. It's probably my favorite. I don't know. It's probably tied with Lord of the Rings, my favorite book of all time. Or favorite story, I guess, of all time, is how I should put that. But I love the Green Knight tale. This book took it and retold it in a very different way. It's marketed as a young adult retelling of Sir Gawain and the Green Knight. That's not my opinions on that. I'll get to that a little bit further down, but that's just kind of the setup of this. So a young Gawain, before he becomes a knight of the Round Table, before he becomes one of Arthur's greatest knights, this is his story. It's the Green Knight's tale, this same story that's being told, but it's done in a slightly different way. It's also, as I mentioned, the first book in what is going to be an epic fantasy series if J.P. Harker decides to write more in the series, which I think he probably will. So this first one is about Gawain. Who knows what the second one will be about, or the rest of the series, but I suspect there'll probably be several other books in the series that are focused on this one specific character, building up to this epic fantasy series being a retelling of the Arthurian legend. So as I mentioned, this is the author's take on the Green Knight tale, and though really quite different, so much of it worked perfectly for me. The whole game section where the Green Knight appears and challenges a knight, it works so well in this retelling. I was completely enthralled while reading it. It gave me that same feeling of awe and wonder and magic and mystery that you get when reading poem, the Green Knight, Sir Gawain and the Green Knight poem. Same with the end of the game where Gawain goes to the Green Knight. They were very different from the original, but they were still extremely enjoyable. So it's a different take on it, a little bit different twist on it, mostly in the setting and how things progress to how they get there. But it works so well, and it captures the imagination in the same way as the original. The cultural aspects brought into this book were amazing. Ancient cultures are something that fascinate me, and even though I don't spend as much time studying them on their own, I really enjoy reading about them when they're incorporated into stories. So all the Druidic culture mixed with the Roman influence, I guess, the Catholic influence that's brought into the British Isles at this point, it works really well. Lothian it's in Scotland, so it's basically South Scotland. So there's very much that culture of the Scottish or ancient Scottish culture of Celtic culture mixed with the more Roman and Catholic influences. Also, so much of the things we know about Gawain from the other stories are brought into this story and serve very much as an origin story for Gawain. We see his brothers and the relationship he has with them. We don't actually see Agravain where he is talked about, but we see Gaheris and we see Gareth both. And we see the relationship that Gawain has with them, and that's really cool. We see the struggle between the old Druidic religions and the coming of Catholicism, like I already mentioned. We also see Gawain's famous shield. So he has this shield with a 5-pointed star on the front and the image of Virgin Mary on the back. And that shield is kind of a major important piece to the story of Gawain, and it was brought into this story, and I really liked seeing that as well. There were just tons of little things here and there that when you have read other Arthurian stories, specifically Lamort, that captures really all of that tale and combines it into one spot, you can recognize as being significant to the Arthurian legends stories. I did have a few issues with the book though. I didn't particularly love how sexual it was. I understand the culture, I understand him being a teenager. This book was written to be more of a young adult story, but I would say that it leans more towards the adult side of young adult. There are also a few tropes that I didn't love. I'm not a big fan of fake out death / resurrection trope. I'm also not a big fan of the here comes the cavalry trope, although oftentimes that one is done a lot better than fake out deaths or resurrections. But because they really don't cause many issues when it comes to Gawain's story and his arc, I can get over them pretty easily in this story. They're there to move the plot along. They're not there for the sake of Gawain's arc, and so I can appreciate that because the book is about Gawain. The way the Green Knight tale was twisted and made to fit into this greater narrative that the author is creating was really cool. I, of course, love the original, like I've already mentioned, but I can definitely appreciate what and how things are being done in this novel. So there's a very different twist on the Green Knight, who the Green Knight is, how that all ties into this epic that he's forming. I wouldn't say this book is perfect, but the writing is very good. It's very easy to read, very digestible. It's not simple or basic necessarily, but it is, I would call it digestible and fairly easy to read. I feel like I read this book extremely quickly, and most of the days that while I was reading this, I ended up staying up later than I probably should have to read more of it. I definitely enjoyed it and will be reading more in the series for sure if and when more of the series is written. So yeah, that is my review for Gawain by J.P. Harker. I rather enjoyed this book. Not my favorite book of all time, not my favorite Arthurian story of all time, but the twist on the Green Knight tale was really cool. It worked really well in my opinion. It is also set up for something that I can see being a really fun retelling of the King Arthur legend. So thank you guys for watching an Erudite Adventure. We post videos every Monday and Thursday. We have our social medias linked in the description down below. Please like and comment and subscribe if you haven't already. We will see you guys again soon. Stay warm.